Okay, so today I'm working on my wife's GMC Acadia. This has a 3.6 liter high feature motor in it. Um, and they are notorious for timing chains. There are all sorts of videos on YouTube about the Acadia timing chains. I'm not going to attempt to get you through all of that. I'm just going to point out a couple little tips that I found while I was getting down to it. The job's not done yet, but it will be soon. So anyway, here are a couple little things to keep in mind if you attempt this at home. Number one, it is a miserable pain in the rear to do. So you got to take all sorts of stuff off just to get down to the timing cover, which is to the point where I'm at right now. I haven't replaced the chains yet. Part of getting the timing cover off is I didn't want to undo the or have to take all these accessories all the way out. So the alternator here, the idler on the alternator also holds the bottom end of the alternator in. You can undo that bolt and back it out, but you can't get it all the way out because of the frame here. What you can back it out far enough that it'll get it off the timing cover, so you can remove the timing cover. The other part of it is the top two alternator bolts here are, well, they're actually studs. You can take the nuts off and loosen the alternator up and to get it away, but the stud itself becomes a problem because the front stud is in the timing cover. So take that stud out when you loosen the nuts up, and that'll allow the timing cover to move its way forward away from the chains there. The power steering pump has two bolts that hold it in. One goes into the front by the timing cover, or on the timing cover, I guess. That one's easy enough to get at. The back one is in the side of the block, and you can access it. It's above the exhaust, but there's not a lot of room to swing a ratchet in there. And so what I found, what I actually wound up doing, is going up to the store and buying an electric ratchet, just because it made the job so much simpler to get that one out. So there's that. Now another thing to keep in mind, where'd that idler go? So the idler for the serpentine belt has two bolts that hold the bracket on, and you would think that would be the only two bolts that hold it on, because the center bolt looks like it holds the tensioner together. Well, it actually holds it on too. So remember to take that bolt out when you're trying to remove the serpentine belt tensioner. Then everything else on this timing cover, every other bolt on it is a 13mm head bolt, and that's easy enough, except for someone stuck one 18mm head bolt on the right bank for some odd reason, and then also put two 10mm bolts down here by the crank. So you think you get all these 13mm bolts out, and who in their right mind would only put one 18mm head bolt on one side of the motor? Well, somebody saw fit to do that, and then also stick these two 10mm bolts in there too. Another little tip to that I come up with all on my own, I guess. So to roll the motor over, I guess they make a special tool that fits on the snout of the crank there, so you can twist the motor and line up the timing marks. Of course, I ain't running out to buy it, because that's probably the one and only time I'd ever use it. So what I come up with is an 1.5 inch 6-point socket. Will fit over that, and if you line it up with one of the, can't do this one-handed. If you line it up with one of the hexes, the key on the crankshaft will kind of key into the hex on the socket, and you can use that to turn the motor over. Pretty simple little trick. here's something else I ran into. Replacing the cam sprocket here. You can see on the, maybe it works better without the light, on the factory cam sprocket, it is marked with a nice deep indentation, and on the replacement sprocket here, you can barely see it. I don't know if the camera or even focus. It's barely visible, the mark they made. It looks like just a very light stamp. So to help me out and help me not lose my mind, we're gonna mark that with paint just to make it stand out better. And just in case you need, you know, count teeth. So if you don't include the tooth that's right against the keyway here, it's 13 teeth around to the timing mark, or if you include that tooth, then it's 14 teeth around to the timing mark, and that's what that one actually works out to be. So it is the timing mark, it's just really lightly done. Okay, so now you need to align the gold link on that, on the left bank timing chain, with this hole in the sprocket. But when it's in the car, the frame here is in the way of you seeing directly into that hole. So my solution is, well, you take a little pick, you can stick it through the hole, and it'll give you a little bit of a visual reference to see that you're actually pointing at the gold link there. But then as you go up and put your tensioner and guides in, if you leave the pick in there kind of against that link, it'll hold the chain on the sprocket and keep it from jumping time on you. Hopefully that helps you out with this job. This job is a nightmare to do at home, but everybody should attempt to do something like it sooner or later. It gives you a feeling of accomplishment if you get it done, which I haven't yet, so we'll see how that turns out. Have a good day. Bye.